Welcome to the Zadzooks Happy Hour, a podcast exploring the latest in film, TV, games, toys, and more. And now, somewhere in a secret bunker outside of Washington, D.C., here are your hosts, 30-year veteran of pop culture and entertainment news for the Washington Times, Joseph Zadkowski, and pop culture, technology, and space aficionado, Todd Stowell.
Welcome back. How are you?
I'm not saying anything until you make sure this thing's working.
It's working.
It's working?
It's working.
All right, you're going to cut that whole piece out now.
Yep.
So you can say it again.
What?
Oh, how are you?
I'm great.
It's snowing in Vermont again.
Is it?
I think so.
I know it was snowing on the top
Aren't
of the
you
highest
happy
mountain.
Not to be in Vermont?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Although I do think this winter for all of us is going to be really bad.
Yeah, but you're a chronic curmudgeon, so I'm going to say it's not going to be bad.
Only reason
I'm just going to say La Nino, or whatever it is, El Nino is going to keep it from
Warm.
being too snowy and more rainy.
Well, yeah.
But
I
we'll
mean,
see.
It depends. Yes, exactly. But there's going to be a lot of water, whether it comes down as snow or rain.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so
There you go.
Happy,
Capital Weather Gang.
happy pre-Halloween.
Happy plea ha blah, blah.
Yeah. So
So here's my picks. Do we want to go right into this?
do it. It's your Halloween picks, right?
Yeah, that these are currently available. Universal did what I've been waiting them to do it for a long time. They put out the Universal Classic Monsters Complete 30 Film Collection. 30 films from 1931 to 1956. You got your Frankenstein, your Dracula, the Wolfman, the Mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Invisible Man. You got mashups, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, House of Frankenstein, and even She-Wolf of London. Awesome.
Did you watch all 30?
I did not.
How
I watched 27.
Did you?
No. I got through some of them.
Nice.
16 optional commentary tracks from film historians. There's a 39-minute documentary on The Bride of Frankenstein, which is great. A 51-minute documentary on The Phantom of the Opera, which is great. I mean, this is like the dream come true for classic monster people. Period. It's slightly downhill from that. I mean, I don't know how you top that. Now,
Yeah. Like Tom Cruise's Mummy?
Oh, no. None of that.
No, I'm just
None
saying,
of those shenanigans.
That's going downhill.
Yeah. So another pick, which is equally potent, is Creepshow, the collector's edition.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Creepshow? Wow, what a great film, period. I'm not going to spoil anything. It's an anthology group of stories. There's 5 stories, directed by George Romero, written by Stephen King. Are you kidding me? And it's got
It's 80s, right? Like 82?
82. Well-known actors include Ted Danson, E.G. Marshall, Hal Holbrook, Adrian Barbeau, Ed Harris, and Leslie Nielsen.
But he was playing a straight role, right?
Leslie Nielsen is playing a straight role.
Yeah.
Ed Harris, very young looking
Very young.
in this movie.
Very young.
Shout Factory put it out, and man,
Did they
if
just
you're
load
a
it up?
fan, there's a track, a commentary track with Romero and makeup artist Tom Savini, which is the best. And then there's a new track by Michael Gornick, who's the film cinematographer. They've also rescanned this film with a 4K scan, and it really looks good. Man, it looks good. Scary stuff. For the kiddies, Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation. Surprising, it was funny.
Okay.
I liked it.
Well, it made a boatload of money.
It made a boatload of money, and there's a lot of good stuff going on in this thing. So the kids are going to like it. Of course, Dracula is played by Adam Sandler. His daughter Mavis is Selena Gomez. Drac's dad, Vlad, is Mel Brooks. Fantastic. Frankenstein, Kevin James, blah, blah, blah. Now, the reason this is so good is because the director is Genndy Tartakovsky, the guy who did Samurai Jack and did the first Clone Wars.
Right.
So really super good, really nice, almost looks three-dimensional when you watch it on a big screen TV. There is a ton of activities for kids as a bonus content, a ton. 30-minute of activities that include making a watermelon jack-o'-lantern, getting a Dracula makeover, and planning a scary sleepover. All good stuff, all winner, love it. Next, Halloween is now available in 4K. You're just sitting here like watching and listening to a bedtime story.
No, I'm just trying to figure out with Halloween in 4K, what are you getting? Like, how's it look?
So,
It's upscaled, I'm assuming, obviously.
it's upscaled from a 2K transfer. Now, here's what's good. The color is slightly desaturated on this, but the detail's really sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a bunch of grain, like the original.
Right.
It's a transfer. It was taken from the 2013 remaster of the film that was supervised by the cinematographer Dean Cundy. But what it looks like a Universal Monsters movie from like the 30s and 40s now.
Does it have that kind of like you're watching a worn VHS tape almost?
No. It's clearer than that. It is sharper than that, but it looks really good. It's scary good looking, especially when Michael Myers is stalking in that first person perspective.
Right.
So that's really well done. That's from Lionsgate. They throw in all the 35th anniversary Blu-ray release stuff, which includes a commentary track with Mr. Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis. So that's huge. Also, I've never seen this before. There's an hour-long documentary on Jamie Lee Curtis going to a horror convention, the 2012 Horror Hound Weekend Convention, where she just signed everything. She just sold her soul for a children's hospital. She took pictures with fans. She talked to them. She Q&As, did everything. She was amazing. Really nice.
I mean, if you think about it, donating one day of your time probably brought in $100,000.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what the final numbers were, but she was so gracious the entire time.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Now, I've never seen this movie before. I finally got to see it. Trick or Treat, Collector's Edition. The guy who did Krampus, Michael Dougherty. It's from 2007.
Yeah.
It's a Pulp Fiction-like anthology.
Oh.
There's a story that just goes through and it's tied to a little creature named Sam who wears a pumpkin on his head. And no, he wears a burlap
Mask. Yeah, sack.
but he's really creepy underneath. He's kind of a demon that keeps his eye out on Halloween. If somebody is breaking the rules, they pay the price. But the stories include Anna Paquin as a virgin who has a big secret with her sisters, and they're throwing a big Halloween party. I don't want to give it away. Dylan Baker's a serial killing principal, and Brian Cox, surprisingly, Mr. Krieg, a curmudgeon who caused some sort of tragedy and hates Halloween. So you know it's not going to go well for him.
He sort of sounds like Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice call. Yes. It's a new 2K scan from the original, and it really looks good. Again, Shout Factory did this. Unbelievable. Another bunch of extras that include there's the best part of these extras is that the director sat down at like 15-minute increments and just talked about everything about the movie, and it's all new.
So it's all done by Shout Factory then.
Shout Factory,
Yeah.
right. So it's great. It's really good. And it even includes a 34-page on-screen comic book. Kind of hard to read unless you have like a 65-inch screen.
Right.
Last one, I'd never seen this movie before. I'm embarrassed to say that, but I'm not that embarrassed. Twilight.
I'm embarrassed
It's
for
like
you.
I finally sat down and watched it. You know what? It's a pretty good movie. It's that, it started that whole teen horror romance frenzy that went into the WB and all those other places.
GW.
Vampire Diaries.
Oh, yes.
And all that kind of silliness.
Absolutely.
I didn't hate it. I thought it was fun. It's in 4K now, and darn if it doesn't look gosh darn great. So
Did you ever see they made a movie after all of those things came out called Warm Bodies, and it's Rob Corddry.
I've never seen it.
And they're zombies, but something happens where like they detect love and it makes them sort of not be zombies.
No.
And there's a love story there.
Oh,
it's
my God.
It's the same exact thing. It's actually really funny.
But these guys started it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
based on a book by somebody, Stephanie Myers. Anyway, there's a new feature added. It's the director, Catherine Hardwicke, and the actor who plays Jasper going back to the locations. Are you yawning?
No.
That's it. I've had it with you. Anyway, Twilight's really good, too. Those are my picks. I got television picks if you want to hear those, too, but that's even quicker.
We can do those.
Okay, so television picks are the same picks I always have every year.
American Horror
Story. But they're getting worse.
Yeah.
American Horror Story, the cult. It's not as good as the other ones.
Right.
But it's got a lot of really scary, murderous clowns in it.
What season are they on?
7, 8. They're on 8.
Man,
now
that's
the new one, Apocalypse, is great.
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's great. Ties in all the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Walking Dead, 8th season. We already know how we feel about that. But it's still creepy, and it's still got people dying in it. So it's kind of scary for various reasons.
I think The Walking Dead
is The Walking Dead.
Has hit, yes. I think The Walking Dead has hit a point where it needs either a bold reimagining or they need to end it.
It just needs to meld into, what's the other one?
Fear the Walking
Fear
Dead.
the Walking Dead and be done with it. Move a couple characters over and be done with it.
Yeah, I mean, are they past the comics at this point?
I don't know.
I mean, I really feel like it's jumped the shark big time.
So that's a show that probably should end.
Mm-hmm.
But the show that did end that's bumming me out is Ash versus the Evil Dead.
That was only on for three seasons.
So the third season is just as great.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And the best part of the Blu-ray is that there's an optional commentary track on every episode. So lots of Bruce Campbell.
Didn't they say something like the reason that it was canceled was because they had to make room for other things? It wasn't necessarily that it was just not a good show?
I didn't look into that, but that would be a shame because it was really a great show.
You know somebody will pick it up.
Yeah.
That's what happens these days. TV shows don't die.
And the other thing worth mentioning is they've re-released Charmed on Blu-ray, and it's now been remastered into a widescreen format, and not a chintzy widescreen, where they're trying to stretch stuff.
Right.
It's like what they did with Star Trek The Next Generation, where they cleaned up everything and re-released it.
Right.
It's pretty good. And that's what I've got.
Did you see that they're making a Star Trek cartoon by one of the Rick and Morty writers?
Why?
It's going to be like an R-rated cartoon. And it's going to be, I think
Where are they at with the Quentin Tarantino film?
I don't know.
Has that been canned?
All I know is I read something that says it's like, it takes place with like those people who are, like ensigns. It's like way below decks in like the really crappy part of the ship where like all the peons are. That's the basis of the cartoon.
Does anybody care about Star Trek anymore? I mean, I know there's a new show, but
I want to see the Picard one, and I would love to see what Tarantino's got up his sleeve.
Right.
That'd be pretty amazing.
All right, what do you got?
All right, so I got a Halloween one for you. The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix,
okay,
which everybody is talking about.
Which is a ripoff of American Horror Story.
It's a little bit of that. It's. I feel like haven't they done a Hill House before, like on through a movie?
I thought there was a movie called.
Wasn't there? Well, there was a house on Haunted Hill.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which wasn't really a Hill House, but man, I feel like like I've heard this before. At any rate, the show is on Netflix. It is fantastic. It's not. It doesn't have the level of jump scares that you would expect, but it's creepy. And if you were to watch it and then go back and watch it a second time, you'll notice there's all these random ghosts just out of focus.
Really?
That are like stalking the younger people.
That's cool.
So
are there any famous actors or actresses in it?
There are. I'm gonna swing my mic here so that I can get you exactly everyone's names without butchering it. But there are some. There's two that are well known, and then the rest of them are sort of picking it up. So there's Carla Gugino.
Oh, I like her a lot.
She is so good.
Oh,
so
good.
It's really focused a lot around her.
Right.
The premise is that in the So it takes place over 2 periods of time. It takes place at present day, and then it takes place some time ago. She and her husband are flippers. They flip houses.
Yep.
They bought this house. They're trying to flip it. But what they don't know is it's haunted.
Yeah.
And something bad happens to her, and you see the repercussions of it in present day. The house is outside of Amherst, Massachusetts, and as you
Isn't that close to Amityville? Amityville Horror?
Isn't
That was in
Amityville
upper New York?
I thought it was in Connecticut.
I don't know.
I
don't know.
The only so there's Timothy Hutton is the only other one.
Got it.
And he is the modern day father. But so the premise is they move in, the kids start seeing things. There's a room that no one can get into. It's got a red door. None of the master keys work. There's a groundskeeper and his wife. They don't stay there after dark. Bad things happen. The kids have nightmares. It shifts to present day. They all kind of hate each other, but they don't know why they all hate each other. And the culmination is they're in the house in the end, and there's bad things that are happening.
So it's Amityville Horror.
Kind of.
And it's the first season of American Horror Story.
So this will definitely probably have more seasons to it, but the showrunner said that he's put this family through enough and that it would be a completely different story, which in some ways I do like TV shows that are doing this. I think, look at The Walking Dead. They could very easily, at the end of every year, just jump to a completely different, like quote-unquote city, civilization, and focus on that for a year.
Yeah.
True Detective is sort of a bad example, but they kind of started it. Fargo has done a really good job with it.
Yep.
American Horror Story, for the most part, has done a pretty good job with it.
Oh, yeah.
This show, it's really, really well done. You get a good sense of closure at the end. You know exactly what the house is at the end. You know, like, sort of, there's a finite conclusion, which I really like. They sort of wrap it all up into a season, and there's nothing left for you to not understand about what's going on. I think it's really worth a watch. It's like 8 or 10 episodes. It's really good. So, everyone's talking about it. People say they won't watch it because it's scary. It's not really scary. There's definitely a creep factor, but you can almost anticipate it. So
Okay.
it's just, the house is kind of full of dread. And
like Amityville Horror.
And at one point, in present day, someone shows up and all the lights turn on, but they're all red.
Scared.
Like Amityville Horror.
Like Amityville Horror.
Yeah. So it's great.
Are there any flies? No flies?
No.
Insect invasions?
But there's some really creepy...
Do the ghosts show up and talk and interact?
They do.
All right. American Horror Story.
They really, but they don't do it until toward the end of the season.
Okay.
But then you really start to get what's going on, and then it gets very, very, very cool. You're kind of left in the dark, but by the end, you know exactly what's going on and why the house is the way it is, and it's pretty cool. Since we're talking about Netflix, I'll quickly jump into one other one before we take a break, which is Bodyguard, which just came out. Which is not a horror. It's also getting rave reviews. It is a joint effort between Netflix and the BBC. Do you remember the Stark brother who died in the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones?
Oh, my God. No.
Okay, well...
I'll say, yes, I remember.
But you remember the Red Wedding, right?
Yeah, barely.
Okay, well...
I haven't seen Game of Thrones in like 12 years, it seems.
Well, he is the star of the show.
Okay.
And he is the bodyguard of the Home Secretary, which is like the Secretary of Defense in the UK. And there's a terrorist plot happening.
There always is.
And he's a former military who was in Afghanistan, who has got some real problems, but it's also wickedly well done.
Any ghosts?
No.
No.
But
12-part, 10-part.
Ooh, 6-part?
That's it?
But they're hour and change. The best episode is they're driving down the road. There's a sniper that goes after the secretary's car. The driver gets shot. They're in the car. He's got to somehow figure out how to get her out of harm's way. She's covered in blood. He's covered in blood. It's really, really realistic.
Okay.
But there's a conspiracy going on, and you can't really figure out whether he's
there always is
whether he's a problem or not. I think you'd like it a lot, actually.
Okay.
It's action packed.
Well, I'm waiting for Designated Survivor because there's going to be a new season on Netflix. Right?
When?
I don't know.
When? Because it just keeps saying new, and I'm like, oh, sweet, season
it's
3.
not new.
No, nothing.
No.
And you can't get any more conspiracy laden than Designated Survivor.
That's
If they,
that's deep.
If they introduce like anything that's been happening in the news lately,
yeah, totally.
that's a full season right there.
Yep.
So okay, I think we've crammed in a lot of stuff.
Krampus end.
We're gonna take a quick break.
Yep.
And then you've got an interview to lay out on us, and we'll go from there.
Communities Digital News, built by the writers and editors that deliver the news 24 hours a day. Visit comdiginews.com. That's COMMDIGI news.com. And support the next evolution in news.
Okay, we're back.
You sound so excited.
Yeah. Well, you got something really cool to talk about.
So, yeah, I didn't think I'd find yet another haunted dominion. This happened at the last second. So there is this place called Bennett's Curse that's been around a long time. They keep jumping locations. The first time I had seen them, they were in a giant tent in Jessup, Maryland. Now, they finally ended up at Baltimore's East Point Mall, and they've kind of rented out part of that mall area. So it's like 3 or 4 stores. So what you're dealing with here is basically a haunted house that's set up contiguously. So there's like 4 themes as you're going through the house. It's about 25 to 30 minutes to get through the entire process. And it's more of like dioramas. You're looking through these living dioramas where there's creatures inside. But they do a lot of work on the atmosphere and the settings and the big fake creatures that look really... There's like some animatronics going on and all that kind of stuff. It was built and continues to be done by Alan and Jill Bennett, who have done really a great job about it. And
do you think it being in a mall actually kind of made it a little bit cooler?
I don't know. It's kind of creepy, right?
Yeah.
How many times you go to a mall and you're going to run into something that insane?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was cool. So there's 4 houses. There's one called The Legends of Halloween, and there's a lot of weird pumpkins heads and stuff. There's one that's really cool called the Vampire Demon area, called Underworld. Then they make you wear glasses, and it's called the Inferno 3D, and that is just totally creepy. And the last one is your typical Ravenbrook Asylum, a lot of chain link fences, a lot of crazy people going on it. They are opened on Halloween.
Oh, that's cool. Day or night?
7 to 10. October 30th and 31st. So you still have a chance to go see this. It's pretty cool stuff. And I'm just showing Todd now a little video of what it looks like in the Inferno area. So bear with us, please. So that's the stuff, and you're wearing glasses as you're going through to see this. And of course, it's popping out in your face.
Right.
So it's kind of cool. And they do a really good job with the masks, and they do a really good job. It's not necessarily traditional makeup. They go out of their way with the mask and stuff like that, so it's really fun. And these guys are just stalking around.
So how many scare actors do you think there are?
65.
Holy cow.
In that mall. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. So wow, but that's a really cool idea, though, especially with malls that are having a hard time, like staying.
Oh, yeah, because
or like as a Sears goes out of business, like there's nothing cooler than being able to, like, can you imagine like doctoring up a Sears to where it looked like the apocalypse had happened? But
I would think it's good for a mall too, because when they come out, they can go to the food court,
go shopping. Yeah. But think about like taking a store like a Toys R Us or a Sears that's about to go out, and like trying to leave it intact as much as you can,
and then turn it into
like a hell,
yeah.
like where at every turn there's like zombies pounding on the door. I mean, it's like it's Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
Exactly. I mean, it took place in a mall. How cool is that? So that's awesome.
So I have an interview with Jill Bennett, and let's play that.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
I am here with Jill Bennett, co-owner of Bennett's Curse, and I've not seen you in a while. What year are we in here?
It's been a while. It's 2018, and we're so glad to be here, and we're glad that you came up to see our show, and we hope you really enjoy it.
And how many
tonight.
years you been doing this?
This is our 18th season.
18 seasons.
18.
What happened to the giant tent?
The giant tent. We keep getting displaced. I think
Okay.
that's the thing about us in Maryland is, first we started at the mall. We were at Rundle Mills, and then they developed that property.
Right.
And then we moved 3 miles south to Blobbs Park, and we got displaced from there because they developed that land.
Sure.
Then we moved to the city, and that was a disaster.
Okay.
But then we're happy to be here today. We're at the East Point Mall, and this is our second year here, and people are loving the show. And we've taken basically the best of what we offer at Bennett's Curse,
Okay.
and we put it into this show. It's kind of all the scary elements. We went back to our roots. What got us to where we are today
Okay.
is the scare, and that's what we do best.
After all of that hassle, why do you keep doing this?
You know what? You sound like my mom.
Okay. All
You
right.
do. But I'll tell you why, because we just love it. We love what we do. My husband and I are very passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's become my passion. It's a business. We run it like a business. And, being a small business and getting no is
Yeah.
such a commonality to us
Sure.
that we're going to do this until we get to the point where we want to be. And it's not where we are at the present moment. We want to give the customers what they're asking us for, which is outdoor events, haunted house, haunted hay rides,
Right.
haunted forest, haunted corn mazes.
Right.
We want to be able to give the public what they're basically driving out of state for, and they've been doing it for years.
Okay. So, tell me a little bit, without giving too much away, why someone in the Washington area would drive up here. It's not that big of a ride, maybe 50 minutes,
Sure.
but what are you guys offering? What's good?
So we're a very themed attraction, and each of our shows, we have 4 different shows. We have the Legends of Halloween, which is our first show, and all of our characters we develop. So we have our own masks and our costuming. It's very detailed.
Done in-house? Or
We do a lot of it. We do in-house. We do a lot of design work on the costumes.
Sure.
But even the masks, they're not made here, but when they're made, my husband has total authority as to what color it's going to be, how it's going to look.
Okay.
And he works with, he loves doing it. That's like his passion, is actually building these characters and building these sets and putting them together and making a show out of it. And we keep the theme continuous. So each of our shows, it's a theme. It's got characters that are for that theme.
All in a row?
All in a row, yeah.
So it's not like you have to go to one house and you got to walk over a half mile and go to another house.
Correct. It's all
one-
continuous. And over the years, people just hate waiting in lines. They're waiting lines and waiting in lines and going in this line and that line.
Right.
So we made one line and we made it a continuous show. It takes about 30 minutes to go
Okay.
through. Depending on how fast or slow you actually walk.
How many scare actors do you have on set?
We've had 65 plus.
Okay.
Busier nights, I could get up to 100.
And
So-
how many folks do you have actually in pre-production working on this, and what does it take to get this show up and running every night?
There's probably about a dozen people. We run this show. It's like a pyramid, just like a big company would run a company. You have your top of the line chain, and then we have our production managers, we have our section leaders, we have our costume department, we have our makeup artists, we have and then we have all of our actors. And it takes a whole team to make this run. It's not run by just one person. And I think the thing about Bennett's Curse is it's the vision of Bennett's Curse. And anyone that has worked here, anyone that has come here, they could feel that it's a family business, it's a family atmosphere. And when they get touched by it, it's like it draws them in.
Right.
And when they hear our story, when they talk to us, they want to hear more.
Right.
Because there's so many layers. And just like our show, it's so many layers.
What are you most excited about to present this year?
I think there's so many different things that we're putting, but the biggest thing is our interactive things, our interactive events. We started out with our laser tag, which people really, really loved. But Thursdays and Sundays, we're doing our Demon Baby scavenger hunt, which we did at Valentine's Day, and our customers just went overboard. They loved it, and they're coming back. Krampus is another one. We're finally doing Krampus this year. Everybody's excited about it. We're super excited about that.
During the holidays.
That'll be December 7th and 8th, correct. But we have our blackout nights, but we're really starting to get our customers more involved in the actual action of the show. And I think that's what people really like about Bennett's Curse, is because we're always evolving, we're always doing new things, we're always bringing the Baltimore, D.C. area the newest things that are, available.
How many themed areas are there again?
There's 4.
There's 4 themed areas.
Yes.
Average price?
$35. It starts at $35. We do offer discounts. Any competitor coupon that you could bring and show will value whatever it says on that coupon. We run deals. If you watch our Facebook Live, we're always having specials on Tuesday nights. So there's always offers and deals. Just check out our website and look for stuff like that.
That's awesome. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Very excited.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
By the way,
fascinating.
You were talking about Halloween, and we should mention that the newest version crushed it
Killed.
at the box office. It made like $90 million.
People love horror movies.
But apparently the reviews are awful.
Yeah, but people love horror movies.
Yeah.
And it was released at the perfect time for that movie.
You think they're done with it? With her anyway?
I don't know what happens in the movie, but I think she'll do another one if they make that much money.
Yeah, that's insane.
The guys, the Blumhouse, are the ones doing it this time, and they know what they're doing.
Sure, because they do like Saw and...
They're not Rob Zombie. That one was terrible. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that was disappointing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I didn't like it at all.
All right.
Neither did John Carpenter. So.
Well, clearly. What's really funny is that if...
He is a crotchety old dude. I was watching... Man, it's amazing he made any movies.
How many movies did he make? Like the
probably
horror movies?
Half dozen.
Half
maybe?
dozen, right?
The Fog he did.
Yeah.
What else did he do?
Halloween.
He didn't do Halloween 2.
No.
It was his idea.
Did he do H2O?
No. He didn't do it. Ugh.
That was so dumb. Oh, man. I don't know. There's more TV stuff coming out soon.
There's more. I watched last night The Matrix in 4K.
Did you like
Part
it?
2 and 3.
Yeah.
When I first saw those movies, I was furious with those idiots because they just completely gumbled and jarbled everything on that movie that you could have possibly. I think the action sequences in those movies are spectacular and they are just unbelievable. But once you get into the stuff where you're talking to the architect and the Oracle, you're just like, oh, God, stop.
The coolest scene was with all the Agent Smiths.
Yeah.
That fight sequence. That
was my God. You mean the courtyard?
In the courtyard.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It never stopped.
No.
It was like...
and I think it was shot continuous.
Chinese martial arts wire the whole time. It was unbelievable.
When I used to do stuff at Warner Brothers, they, in their... in the building where all the cars are, there's a bunch of Agent Smiths standing there.
Oh, that's so cool.
And they're realistic.
Yeah, of course.
Really cool. And they've got, they have Morpheus's car, which is a sweet looking car.
So, does the trilogy stand up? It's just as bad as it was before. I love the action sequence. The first movie is gold. It's gold.
Look at like the Dark Knight Rises. Do you not like that movie? Do you like that movie? How's that hold up to the Dark Knight? It can't, right? I mean, it's a great movie,
right?
But it's not the Dark Knight.
But that trilogy, the weakest of those three is Batman Begins, as far as I'm concerned.
And I don't think that's weak.
And I don't think it's weak either, because I went back and watched that too, and I thought it was great.
But I think the challenge is that in some ways you use all your cards up. I mean, the first movie was not meant to be like this insane cult phenomenon.
But I think they overthought it.
Oh, I do too.
They just really overthought. They were trying to create this Citizen Kane.
Right. And you also had problems where you had the actress who played the Oracle in the first movie died. So it's a different woman.
Yeah, you're right.
And then they wrote in, they explained that she was like punished for doing something.
Right.
You have the cousin of Tank in the first one is now the guy running the ship. That's off-putting. It's like if you had, I mean, you can't fix somebody dying, but it was just that part was off. And then, I mean, yeah, he's flying around like Superman and he's doing all of his things. I do like the last part of the third movie where he's flying blind, and they crash, and he.
Yeah, but then they take away one of the most interesting characters in the entire movie that really made him become who he was.
Morpheus.
No, Trinity.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, but also
they killed Trinity.
The
whole romance, the whole love story is now kaput.
Well, but if there are all these people who speculated that it was a god complex because when he dies and is taken away,
I get
he
it.
looks like he's on the cross.
Okay,
right.
All right,
really? But they also took Morpheus out of it.
Oh, completely.
Out of the second two movies, and they didn't need to put an orgy in the second movie, which was
that scene was so
stupid.
bad. That was so pointless.
What they really should have made Zion was like literally a place where everybody's terrified all the time.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Because they should be.
They were like, oh, we're free loving, man.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell is this?
All right. Sorry to go off on a tangent. We're done.
But you know what you didn't put on your list? I just wanted to point out.
What?
Ghostbusters, the 2016 version. That wasn't on your list.
Well, I didn't see it recently, and I know you hate that movie.
It's okay. It's not great. And actually, I read something that one of the people in the movie finally came out and said
it wasn't so great.
So great.
I'd really like Kate McKinnon, though, to be in a good movie. There's some other spy movie I'm going to be looking at this week, I think. The Spy Who Left Me. And she's in that.
Yep.
And I don't think it's a very good movie.
No.
But we'll see.
I think she's so talented on Saturday Night Live, but they're small vignettes.
Right.
And I think people think that they can write to that person. And they're not writing, they're making her out to be annoying.
Yeah. You're right. Every time.
Every character is just like a pain in the ass.
Right.
And it's like, just give her some, I mean, she could
I don't know. Her window's closing. It's like that Tina Fey, Amy Poehler.
Well, the only thing that I can think of is that she could be one of those people like Bill Hader who can flip over and do drama.
Right.
Because
she could easily.
I think she definitely could.
So
I just think that the writers, for some reason, write her into these roles that are just garbage. And you know what? Kristen Wiig's kind of the same. They did the same.
Oh, see, they did that to her,
too.
They
did the same thing to her.
Masterminds. All right. Thank you. Have a happy Halloween.
Yes. See you in November.
Yes.